morning. Thank you for tuning in to Focus on Teens. I'm Dr. Barbara Milton, and today I have the pleasure of introducing you to Keith Cummings. Take a listen.
I was born and raised in Jersey City, New Jersey.
And where did you go to school? Talk to me about your school experiences.
I traveled a lot in school. Started out at St. Pat's, then I went to Golden Door Charter School, then I went up to number 6 in the Heights, and then I finished out in Bayonne.
All right. So you graduated in what year?
From grammar school?
No, from high school.
High school, I graduated in 2010 from St. Peter's Prep.
And what kind of student were you there?
I was an average student. You know, I was more leaning towards sports. That's the reason why I went there. So, you know, I kind of was lazy when it came to school, but you know that changed as I went on to college.
So you chose to go to school outside of New Jersey.
Yes.
And I understand you go to a very prestigious school called the Citadel.
It's okay.
It's okay. Tell me about how you even learned about the Citadel.
I found out about the Citadel. It was just random, you know. I got a letter from the track coach. He was interested in me going down there, so I said, okay, let me do some research on it. I did my research. I was like, okay, it's a military school. So I never went to visit. I just went down when I got the acceptance letter, and I went down to perform for my first day. And then I was kind of like, it was kind of a shell shock to me because I didn't know what I was going to run into, and then everything hit me. I'm like, okay, I'm here. I'm not going to give up. I'm not the type to quit, so I just said I'm going to finish this out.
So, what year have you completed at the Citadel so far?
I graduated. I graduated this past May. Just me, growing up, meeting different people. Like I had a real good guidance counselor, Mr. Jim Dondero. I can really credit him for the person I became, just having someone to vent to and go to and talk to and whatever. And I have plenty of uncles and cousins, older cousins. Just all the male figures in my life. You know, I had my dad in my life, but he wasn't really there. So just having those male father figures in my life that, you know, paved the way for me. You know, that really pushed me to say, hey, I need to achieve something so I can have something for my kids when I grow up.
What was your first thinking when you hit campus?
It was just a lot of order, discipline. Everyone knew what they wanted to do. Everyone had a purpose. Everyone, you know, followed the rules. There wasn't any playing around. Everyone had their head straight. Everyone was there to take care of business.
And is that a structure you welcome?
Yes.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think you gravitated toward wanting and appreciating that kind of structure?
It's just, you know, everyone's doing it. You don't want to be the person standing out, not following what's going on down there, you know. 'Cause you're not going to stay there for long if you do that. They're going to cast you out, or you're just not going to be there. You're going to get in trouble to the point where they kick you out of school.
What were the subjects that you ended up enjoying, and what was your major?
I'm an exercise science major. Well, I graduated, so I have an exercise science degree. And just me learning about the body, how it functions, what you need to do to take care of yourself. That really is something I really just took into. Like I really took an interest in, just learning about the body, how everything works.
And you're an athlete as well.
Yes.
All right. So tell me about your sports life.
At the Citadel, I run track. I have one more track season. That's why I'm heading back in August to take my last track season. I'm going to try to finish out with a bang. I'm going to aim to do great at conference and finish out strong. So I'm a sprinter. I run most of the short sprints. I can't as of late. I can't say I can run past 200 meters. It's something that I haven't trained up to do, but I'm sure I can train myself to get to that point. Just staying in shape, you know, that's a benefit. Well, before when, you know, I was a bigger jock than what I am now, you know, the benefit is just being popular. I kind of, like when I was in high school, I took I took an interest in just, hey, everyone knows me as an athlete. I can walk around, everyone knows me. Hey, that's so and so from prep. But that doesn't really mean much to me now. You know, it's really more about just competing and being in shape and taking care of myself.
What do you want to be when you grow up? I mean, what are your career goals? What's your next step?
Once I finish my last track season, I'll be going into corporate fitness. I will be trying to get into a company called Plus One Health Management. They pretty much work in a bunch of business settings around the world. There's one in New York City I'm looking to work with because I have one of my other mentors. He works there. He's a manager there. So trying to get an internship there and then enter there. That'll be my entry job.
Excellent. Now, look, there's a big event happening here in Jersey City. You've walked right in on it, coming home for the summer. And that is, there's been a rash of community incidents, violence, shootings, that sort of thing. Do you think about that at all? Do you have any opinions about what's happening in our hometown here? And what's your sense of that since you've been home?
I don't like it. You know, I have a lot of cousins, younger cousins that are out here. I have older cousins that are out here. My grandmother lives in Jersey City. I have family here, you know, and there's innocent people getting shot, innocent people being, you know, robbed or whatever. And, you know, I don't want anything to happen to my family. I don't want anything to happen to my friends. And, you know, it's all unnecessary stuff. It shouldn't be happening anyway.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever think about what's a possible solution for it?
We need more men showing these younger guys how to be real men. Instead of, you know, like when I look at the younger kids now, and some of them don't have father figures, some of them don't have a real man to look up to, and all they see is, you know, what they see on TV, like rappers. So, you know, they're getting the wrong influences. They see people in the corner, you know, they have money, but they're on the corner. They're not doing much with their lives. So, you know, when a younger kid sees that and they don't see anything else, you know, they're not going to want to be anything more than what they see. They're kind of limited.
Mm-hmm. And you're saying that's what happened for you?
For me?
Yeah, that's how you dodged all that. That's how you dodged that lifestyle. You dodged those problems.
Well, when I was younger, you know, I had my grandmother. She just kept us from going out. It was really, you know, we went out to go to school, went out to play sports, and then come back in the house. There was no playing outside. You know, I had my friends, but it was either I saw them at like a sporting event, or I saw them at school, and I would go back in the house. I didn't really go out much until I became a little bit older. And I think a lot of kids should be able to go out, but once they hit that age, that's when they should be allowed to go out. You have, like now, you go out now, you'll see 5, like 7-year-olds out with just a couple of their friends, and that's to me, that's not what you should be doing, letting your little kids go out like that, because they can get hurt, something can happen, you know. It's just, you know, it's something I just don't agree with.
It sounds like you appreciated the importance of your grandmom and others actually supervising you.
Yes.
And monitoring what you were doing.
Well, when I was younger, it was more of the, oh, why can't I go outside with my friends, you know? But when you sit back and look back at, you know, think about, you know, would you be here if things were different, if they raised you different? Like, would I really be in this position that I am now? Would I have graduated college? Would I have, you know, been as successful as I am now? Will people look up to me? So yeah, I look back and I'm like, okay, I see why it was like that. I see why, you know, I wasn't allowed out much. I see why it was curfews, and it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Now I remember when I featured you in Our Pride and Joy, and we ran a story on you as a role model and an inspiring young person in the Jersey Journal a few months ago. And I remember a couple of statements there that I wanted to make sure you hit on here today. One was you kind of alluded to the fact that you had to get out of Jersey City because if you felt like you were here, you might not have enjoyed the kind of success you're currently enjoying. So is that in fact true? Do you feel like if you had stayed here, you might have sort of been swallowed up by the way it is here? Or
to be honest, you know, like coming up when I hit that age where I was old enough to actually go, you know, be active, I guess, in the streets, if you want to say that. You know, where when I can communicate with the people that are out there. Then, you know, there was times that I wanted to be in the streets with people because that's what I saw. I'm like, okay, some of my friends out here, maybe I should do this. But then, yeah, like once I started traveling, like, you know, I used to go down to South Carolina a lot when I was younger, and just seeing different things, just seeing different lifestyles, different cultures. You know, it was like, I think if I stayed here, it wouldn't have been the same. I probably wouldn't be in the position I am now. I wouldn't be here with you right now, to be honest. It's just I experienced a lot being at the Citadel, you know, and I can really credit them for changing the person I am now. Like, some people think I'm just a dull guy, but you know, it's just a part of me growing up. I felt I had to go that route.
yeah, and while you're talking about that, because look, there are a lot of young African American males who are graduating from college. So this is like such a significant accomplishment, all right? And we're enormously proud of you for that, right? So if you reflect back on the 4 years of your school, name for me like the 1, 2, or 3 reasons you think you graduated. Like, what did you do, 1, 2, or 3, that helped you to complete that goal of getting your bachelor's degree accomplished?
I guess my first reason would be me completing my NOB year. The NOB year at the Citadel is the freshman year. You know, you go in the first day, they take your phone, your laptop, everything, your watches. You don't know what's going on. You don't know the time. You just know someone's going to kick your door in. They're going to tell you to do something. You have to do it. Someone's going to pull you out. You have to shine your shoes. And, yeah, you have to get it done. Just me getting through that process for a full school year, me being able to balance, you know, the military stuff, the college track, being able to do all that. I was like, okay, I'm ready for college. That's the first thing. The second thing is just me knowing that, you know, I had to sacrifice a lot to get the grades that I got while I was down there. You know, looking back, I've lost a lot of friends, a lot of relationships went downhill. You know, I didn't talk much to people. I lost a lot of sleep, but it was worth it. You know, I learned a lot. I got the grades that I wanted. I actually, you know, I'm proud of what I went through. And the third thing that, you know, helped me get through getting my bachelor is just my family. Just that family support. Just them being there the whole time, not giving up on me, sending me letters, care packages, you know, coming down to visit when they could, me going home when I did have time to go home for visits. Just that family time, just knowing that, you know, they appreciate what you're doing. Me being at college, me working hard, just knowing that someone's there appreciating what I'm doing, it meant a lot. So that kept me moving forward. You know, just to have my little sister, like, you know, look up to me and smile, and you know, she has a whole bunch of Citadel gear she used to wear. She has a little cheerleading outfit like she wore one day when I came home. You know, that it means a lot. It might not mean much to some people, but it's a cute little thing that, you know, means a lot. Like, I have to get through this. I have to finish up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm so glad that you talked about family, because that was the second thing that actually struck me, was when you told me the story. I think it was about your grandma, who couldn't walk on the very campus you were now on, or something like this?
Yes.
Can you tell me that story again? Because that moved me to tears, actually.
Well, I didn't really talk to her about it, but when she was younger, just, you know, out of the Southwest, it wasn't allowed on campus. African Americans weren't allowed on campus either. They weren't allowed on campus until, I believe, the 80s. So just, you know, seeing me being able to walk on campus and me having the rank that I had at the school, me making it, like when we had our last parade, you know, I never saw my grandmother cry a day in my life. It's just something I always thought, like, this lady's tough, you know, she's never going to cry. I'll never see her cry. We finished our last parade, and she's in tears, like she's crying, and it got to me. I started crying too. So that just meant a lot. That just kind of said, all right, you made it. You know, this is something that you accomplished, and she's proud of you. Like I did it for her. She's one of the reasons I did it for her. So yeah.
What was the rank when you finished?
I had cadet second lieutenant rank while I was down there.
And do you ever think about going into the armed forces or anything?
It's still a
It's
thought.
a military prep school, right?
It's still a thought. And if I do go into the Army, I'll be going as a second lieutenant officer. So
That's something you think about from time to time.
it's something I think about. It's as of now, it's in God's hands. That's how I'm gonna put it.
Okay.
If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I still have my career in corporate fitness.
Okay, terrific. All right.
I was always told, you know, you are who you hang with. I try to surround myself around people that actually want to go out and achieve different things. They don't want to hang out in the streets. They don't want to, you know, sell drugs, do drugs. They don't want to drink. So I tend to surround myself around people that are positive, that want to get out of college, that want to actually get out of this city. So, you know, just with peers, you know, you have to motivate. You have to, you know, hit them up once in a while. Like, hey, how's it going? How's the grades doing? You know, motivate them, show them that, you know, you want to see them succeed in school. It's not all about, hey, what you doing tonight? Like, hey, we going out? Like, you have to kind of show them that it's not all about just my entertainment. You have to show your friends that you care about their future also. Because if they're good enough friends, they're going to be there in your future.
Right. And what about parents? Like, a lot of parents are going to watch this show. So what can you say to parents about how they can help their kid? You know, how can they help their young person, their teenager?
Parents have to be more proactive in what their kids are doing. Like once kids get to college, I know that, you know, there's certain laws that allow kids not to share their information with their parents, you know, blah blah blah. But you know, the kids should be willing to share that information with their parents. It's not something you should be hiding, especially if you're doing well. If you're doing bad, your parents should know that also. I know it's your college experience, but I'm pretty sure you're getting financial aid because of your parents. So you should be able to. They should be able to be proactive in what you're doing in school. They should know how your grades are. They should know if you're getting tutoring. And you know, parents should, like, if someone asks them how their kids are doing, they should be able to tell, hey, my kids are so and so major. My kids' grades are this. I know some parents that don't even know their kids' major. You know, like, I don't know. How's your kids doing? I don't know. Like, that's not what parents should do. They should be more proactive in what they're doing with their kids.
All right, and now you also have the benefit of hindsight because you've gone on and completed college. And I just wonder if you could make a statement to say the teachers that are in these schools here in Jersey City, like, if you think back, like, you know, and maybe you had the perfect experience with your teachers. I mean, you talked about your guidance counselor, you had some good teachers. But in general, what do the teachers here need to do to set up a young person for success when they enter into the college world?
I went to a private school in high school. I'm not familiar with anything that goes on in public schools. It's probably like a less controlled environment than a private school because we're paying for that. We're not going to waste our money on that. So,
well, you've heard stories from your friends and relatives.
I've heard stories about just crazy things going on in school.
Yeah.
You know, kids not listening.
I mean, your parents put you in a private school for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think about all that?
Me going to the private school is just so I can focus, so I can be away from that. I went to an all-boys school. That's so I can be away from girls also. So just like being at prep is something that, you know, if you didn't go through it, you won't understand. Like, it's just a place where guys can be comfortable. It's not really where we're worried about getting dressed, looking nice to be around girls. You know, it's just us going there, getting the job done, and doing a sport of our choice. That's
all the distractions are eliminated.
All the distractions out the way.
Yeah.
But if I had something to tell teachers, you know, how to get these kids more interested in going to college, actually finishing college, just try to find some type of level where you can meet and say, hey, you know, you kind of have to become cool with a student, not too cool with a student. Just you have to find something that's going to grab their attention, so make them want to learn and find out what they want to do and try to, sway them to that direction. So say, hey, if you want to be this, this is what you have to do. Like, some kids don't know how to achieve what they want to do, so they just kind of give up on it. But you kind of have to show them the right way.
Okay, all right. Yeah, and we alluded a little bit to some of the challenges around violence and things like that in the community. I mean, you see a lot of brothers and women on corners. You see a lot of boarded up businesses and that sort of thing. I just wonder if you have a statement at all or some thinking about the responsibility of, say, government to help young people like yourself succeed. Like, what would you say to, say, the mayor or city council or our institutions here in town? What do we need from them?
Just need them to help them. We need them to help us get these people off the streets. You have people in these communities. They're scared to go out and do what they normally do. There's business owners that are scared to run their businesses because they have these people out on the corners and doing stuff, and they're not getting their business because people are scared to go into their stores or someone's standing right in front of the stores. So we have to. Our community has to take back our community instead of living in fear. We have to get these people off the streets. Whatever the police department has to do to get these kids off the streets and actually have them interested in doing something more positive other than selling drugs and wasting your time. You have to find something. You have to do something. We can't just sit back and let it happen. Like, we see it every day. There's kids on the same corner every day. It's kind of obvious. They're not just standing there, just to stand there. We have to, get them off the corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and some of that could be through force and through sweeping them off. And then others of them, I think, need role models. You alluded to that, mentors,
yes.
The brothers and the men and the fathers and the mothers to step up. So I just wonder, for this very last question that I have for this interview with you, is, what can you say to some young man or some young woman who's going to be watching this maybe, and that can inspire them, to help to get them to want to take some responsibility for getting their own life in good order? Like, what would you say to inspire someone?
Let's see, something like a sleep with someone.
Could be something someone told you at some point in your life when you were feeling kind of low or stuck.
I know every time, like being at the Citadel, I know I'm big on getting letters from home. And, it didn't have to be much. It's just something just so I can read. Something personal, not just like a card and someone signs their name. Something personal to me. And my grandmother will always send a letter. There's a blank letter she just wrote, "Keep the faith in it." That just kept me motivated to just get through with life, and just keeping the faith, just telling myself I can actually do this. I can achieve this. There's no going back now. I've come this far. There's no going back now. There's no giving up. I was never a quitter. So I guess that's one thing I would leave with them.
Okay, terrific. How were these questions for you?
That's good.
Now, I know a lot of people watch this show. Is there like one final, shout-outs to anybody you want to make, or is there some final statement you want to make to whomever it is who might be catching this show on Comcast 51?
There's a list of people I would shout out. There's a bunch of family. My mom, my dad, Stephanie Wilson, Jason Wilson, my little sister Jay Wilson, my little sister Kimberly Cummings, my grandmother Barnes Holmes, all my mentors, Jim Dondero, Cliff Brown, Bobby Swartz, Bobby Stewart. He's a chess coach in Jersey City. There's a lot. I keep going.
Well, you're a reflection of all that love and support. That's pretty clear. Yeah. Well, straight up from the Citadel, back home this summer, and I so appreciate your commitment to, call me when you got back home, and I know that you're a man of your word.
Yes.
And that kind of discipline, that kind of responsibility, that kind of maturity. is going to continue to order all your successes. And I feel enormously grateful that you would take some chunk of your summertime here to share with the viewers of Focus on Teens. I really appreciate you spending your time with me this afternoon to do that.
I appreciate you having me. It's just my first time doing anything like this, having an interview for a TV show, so I appreciate this. It means a lot to me.
Super. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome back. Keith Jarrell Cummings, second lieutenant, graduate of the Citadel. What an impressive young man. Look, you heard my voice a lot throughout the interview with Keith, and I think it's more important to let his voice, his words, his wisdom, his experience, his opinions, his relevant testimony to what it takes for a young man to be molded, a young boy to be molded into a young man. I so appreciate that he did come and talk to us all, and he illuminated some very important, what I call protective factors for young people growing up in adverse situations, whether it's poverty or violence or maybe family problems or mental illness, whatever the adversity is. Keith has very articulately described for us some of the protective factors that help young people do well regardless of their circumstances. And one point that really illustrates that is when I asked him the question, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to? And of course, he had a long list of mentors and family members and people who guided him both here in Jersey City and at St. Peter's Prep and at the Citadel, and even now in his postgraduate life, where he's connected to contacts from the Citadel and St. Peter's who are going to help him get internships to get his life into the next gear, which is to utilize that Bachelor's of Science, to utilize his commitment to mental and physical fitness and wellness in order to help others in the physical sciences and as a scientist who's deeply concerned about the health and well-being of athletes and other people. This is a young man who's quite a success story, and is no secret as to why that is. And we have an imperative to replicate that over and over and over again. Listen to Keith Cummings. Mentor young people. Instill in them hope. Train and teach them the skills. Get them off the corner and give them other opportunities. Inspire them in the classrooms. And keep the faith. Lessons from Keith Cummings. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Focus on Teens. I look forward to seeing you again every Monday and Thursday nights. Enjoy our August Teen of the Month, the graduate from the Citadel, Hudson County's own